around what people are calling the next foreclosure crisis. They've been talking about, 3.2 million people in mortgage forbearance. And if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you should know by now how I feel about that. But I've come across several articles today that show even my rosy expectations might be underserved. So let's talk about it. A lot of people who've not been investing in real estate, right? If you've only been doing this 5, 6, 7 years, you think of the last crisis and you try to make the next crisis like the last one. I think I've covered there are so many differences about this time than last time that it's just not going to happen. But that said, we do have 3.2 million people in forbearance. And if you just look at it off, at high level, that could be a problem. But as I've said many times, and I've done more digging today, banks, who were the evil, the stupid, the impractical participants in the last crisis, who were basically telling borrowers they couldn't work with you unless you were 90 days late, fully well knowing that once they were 90 days late, 98% of them would lose their house. That's not happening this time. There is more and more proof that lenders are being really threatened by the federal government that if they do not prevent preventable foreclosures, if they do not perform loan workouts, that they can suffer some significant penalties. So, a couple of questions. Where is this foreclosure crisis? Well, I don't think we're going to have one. There will be no crisis. We will suffer some foreclosures. They will be more foreclosures than maybe historic times, but we're talking single digits increases. It's not going to be really that bad. We may have a couple of local markets that are really hard hit, but most won't. Think about Las Vegas, right? We've been very lucky to have Brian Lebo on this channel once a month for the last year. And if you go back and watch the old interviews, we were both saying, man, I don't know where this is going. Prices could really fall. And they didn't. Not only did they not fall, they've gone up. And there's no inventory. Now, if you think about what the lenders are being told, and Vegas picks back up, right? The casinos open, entertainment happens, travel happens. Lots of those people are going to get loan workouts, as an example. Now, I still think Vegas suffers some, almost has to, with 20% unemployment. But again, most markets aren't Vegas. They're not solely focused on the service industry. So I think there will be a couple of cities that are harder hit than others, Vegas, Orlando, kind of service hubs. But most, no problem, right? Most people will get back to work. Most people will be able to afford their mortgage or a slightly lower payment. And lenders we're going to be reporting record loan workouts. This hypothesis that thousands, tens, and hundreds of thousands of foreclosures are coming and we, the investors, are going to be able to pick them up just like last time, you are going to be greatly disappointed. So when will they arrive? This is another one that so many people get wrong that haven't been in the game long enough, right? That's the beauty of doing this 20 years. It's the beauty of surviving and thriving in the last crisis, right? We got out of the way just in time and picked up all the stuff at the bottom. Foreclosures, REOs, short sales take time. Even when the banks want to foreclose, you're usually talking 6, 7, 8 months minimum from the first missed payment. And we're not talking missed payments because of forbearance. Those don't count. You could be down a year, but if the bank and you agree that you can miss your payments for a year, the clock doesn't start. The clock on an REO, an NOD, whatever, only starts after you've missed your first payment where you and the bank don't agree. Like, for example, the bank says your payment is due October 1st and you don't pay. Now the clock starts. It doesn't matter that from January of 2020 until September of 2021, you never made a payment. The bank and you agreed. So congratulations, you got 22 months of free mortgage payments. But now it's October 1st and you haven't paid. You are late on October 15th. Now the clock starts. I bring that up because if the clock doesn't start to October 15th, you're not going to see foreclosures or short sales until summer of 2022, best case. Foreclosures, when they really mount up, have been known to take more than 700 days. If that's the case, you won't even see the foreclosures until 2023. It's just how it works, folks. People that are spouting negativity and wait for the crash are wrong. Next, how big? This one is kind of like, the only image I can think of is, when there's an earthquake in the ocean and then the coast has tsunami warnings. When I think of tsunamis, thankfully never having experienced one, I think about the horrible videos I saw in, I think it was Thailand a decade ago, whenever that was. I mean, it was frightening, right? Frightening. But what will likely happen is it will end up being a trickle. It will be a 3 or 4 inch wave that doesn't even get past the beach. So this tsunami wave that people have been calling for is fear, and it's meant to scare you, and it's meant to make them money, right? They're getting clicks off of you. This thing is going to end up being a non-event in most U.S. cities. It will, I could see it concentrating again, going back to an earlier point, in a few cities where maybe 10% of the inventory is distressed, but that's going to be the max. And again, I've been doing this 20 years. There was a time where 90% of the listings were distressed. There's no chance that happens. Again, I go back to the facts that banks are going to be punished if they don't do loan workouts. This inventory is not going to show up. And then finally, what kind of discount can you expect? This is where I just lose it. Do you know how much money Wall Street has on the sidelines? I did a video on it earlier this week. They have $250 billion. That's with a B. What happened in the last crisis is Wall Street proved that they could create funds and companies to turn single-family homes into rentals. They can get enough scale and they can make that model work. They buy for cash, they don't ask for a discount, and they are hungry for inventory. So if you're in Vegas or Orlando and you're in one of these smile states where the population is moving, let's just say you have 10 or 15% of inventory come on the market that's distressed, meaning foreclosure or REO. You and I will see almost none of that inventory. Wall Street will write a check and buy every house. Wall Street will get a 5, 8, 12% discount for cash, speed. But you and I are never going to see this inventory. If you are waiting on your sidelines for a 2010 crash, you are going to be greatly disappointed. 50% discounts are not going to be had in most markets, if any. Interest rates are going to be higher in a year or two than now. So if you're on the sidelines and waiting, you're actually losing out on appreciation and cash flow, assuming you buy a good or great deal that I talk about all the time. So what I'm telling you to do today is don't wait for a crash that's not coming. This is the classic tsunami warning that never shows up. And if you're not doing the work now, you need to do the work. If you have convinced yourself that a foreclosure crisis and you're going to be ready in 6 months or 12 months or 18 months, do something else because it's not coming. Do the work now. Inventory will show up, but it will be inventory from sellers who have equity, and sellers who are looking to trade up, sellers who are looking to move. The market will become normalized. Having a million available homes for sale is not normal. That will normalize, which will give you and I the ability to do deals after a remarkably hard year. So in the end, no foreclosure crisis, no REO wave, no tsunami crashing down on prices. Banks will be penalized if they don't prevent preventable foreclosures. Just watch. It's already coming out. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day.